Hello and welcome. Welcome to another video from War Backwards is Ra. Ra is the ancient sun god, and Ra is just another name for the devil. In this video, we will look at the hidden hand in history through some civil Ra photos. I'm going to take you to this photo here. This is Robert Anderson. Robert Anderson was the Union commander at Fort Sumter, the start of the Civil War. Please notice that Robert Anderson has his right hand underneath his uniform, and he is covering his right hand. What we are left to see is his left hand. The hidden hand of history. Now let's take a look at another photo. Okay, this photo is Admiral David Farragut. Once again, you need to notice that his right hand is in his bosom. It is covered up by his uniform. So what is showing? His left hand. Let's take a look at another photograph. Okay, this photograph is Major General John Pope of the Union Army. Once again, his hand is covered up by his uniform. It is the right hand that is covered. Let's take a look at another one. Okay, the photograph that you're looking at now is James Jeb Stuart of the Confederate Army. Please notice that you will not see his right hand. The only hand that is visible to us is the left hand. The photographs of both the Union soldiers and the Confederate soldiers show the same thing. There is a hidden hand in history. We'll take a look at another one. This, of course, is the famous William Tecumseh Sherman. His hand is covered up. His right hand is covered up by his uniform. Even the photographs of the so-called dead, some of them show the right hand completely covered, and the only hand that is visible in the photographs of the so-called dead is the left hand. Okay, this is a very extensive photograph of some workers, some black workers, and it was done in 1864. They were working for the Union Army. What is interesting about this photograph is, at most, we can see the left hand of a few individuals. It appears that for all of them, we cannot see their right hand. In fact, for some of them, we can't see either the right or the left hand. So look very carefully at it. If you feel like there's something very strange and mysterious about this photograph, perhaps it's the missing hands. And the only hands visible are left hands. Now, this is a mortician who is preparing a body to send it back to a family somewhere. But once again, what is interesting is that the arm and the hand that we see is the left hand and the left arm. The right hand and the right arm are not visible at all. This is a very famous photograph of Robert E. Lee. And once again, with Mr. Lee sitting in the chair, you notice that his right hand is covered by his hat, and all that is visible is his left hand. Okay, on the left, we see what is a photograph of Jefferson Davis, who really is Abraham Lincoln. You have to see my video on the split persona, or I fought myself in a civil raw battle. But in this particular photograph of Jefferson Davis, we see that it is his left hand that he's covering up, And that might be because the same actor plays both Lincoln and Jefferson Davis. Now we come over here, once again, to Robert E. Lee, and we see that the pose that he's adopted is to hide the right hand and allow us only to see the left hand. Now we'll switch to another book here and I'll show you some more. Okay, I'm going to center in on the gentleman on the right. The gentleman on the right is Senator John Crittenden. And notice that once again, he is hiding his right hand in his bosom. Okay, we have to adjust the camera here a little bit. Okay, we're looking at Ambrose Burnside. He also adopted the pose of hiding his right hand in his bosom. Now for another book. Okay, this is Mr. Lincoln. Accompanied on his right is Allan Pinkerton, who is a Secret Service chief, and on his left is Major General John Clarand. And please notice that Pinkerton, on Mr. Lincoln's right, which would be your left, has chosen to place his hand in his bosom. And notice who's on Mr. Lincoln's left, which is to your right, is the General John McClernand. He too has placed his hand in his bosom. And Abraham Lincoln is standing upright, and the only arm or hand visible is his left hand and left arm. And if you look carefully at Mr. Lincoln, it almost looks as if his whole right side has been severed or edited by Mr. Brady, who took the photos. There's a real sharp delineation there on his right shoulder. I'll see if I can zero in on it. See how it looks almost like a paper cutter came and just cut that off. You don't even see any roundedness on his right side. All of which is conveying a message to us, if we're only willing to listen to what the message is. And the message is that there's a hidden hand in history. Speaking to Aaron, and the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand to thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as other flesh. God gave Moses these two signs, throwing the rod down and putting his hand into his bosom, to show that something miraculous was occurring. It appears obvious that the world of the occult, the world that relies on a power other than God, has adopted placing your hand into the bosom as a signal that something miraculous, sponsored by the power other than the power of God, namely the power of Ra, or the power of the devil, is occurring. So once again, let me tell you what the title of this video is. The Hidden Hand in History through Civil Raw Photos. Once again, this is War Spelled Backwards is Raw, signing off. Thank you for watching the video.